This is supervisor training, core behaviors that we protect when we're running a shift. So once you're a supervisor, it is your job to not only be modeling all of the things that are in our basic training, but it is also your job to be protecting those behaviors. And something to be conscious of as you go in to correct and to enforce those basic behaviors that we teach in our basic training. Just keep in mind there's the 5-to-1 principle, which is 5 positive interactions to 1 negative interaction. So if you're going to be calling someone out for messing up or forgetting something, you're going to want to make sure you have rapport with them that is positive. And ways that we do that is just by, as people, keep in mind our core identities of being, you are a lovable person, you are an honorable person, you can dream, and you belong. And then from that place, you lead your shift. And you also value those things about other people, even if they're not even aware of those terms and of those things in their life. You can call out dreaming in them, be like, hey, what are your goals? Like, what are your dreams? Like, what do you care about? Being like, affirming them as a caring person, because a lot of times the most caring people are the most oblivious to the fact that they have a positive impact on people around them. Honor, right? We don't bludgeon people, crush people in the midst of conflict and correction. We are looking for the gold in them. And when you correct them, you go, hey, I'm trying to protect your job. I value you here. I want you here. And that's why I'm giving you this information, because I know that this is a really, really important behavior in this environment. And you need to make this behavior a habit if you want to have a job. And if you want the kind of priority you want in this job and the kind of pay you want. So I'm on your side, I'm on your team. Let me help you by giving you feedback. And so just keeping in mind those core values, belonging, right, is just having an environment where we take care of each other, we protect each other, we value each other. There's not like cliques. It's okay to like some people more than others, but we don't have to create social dynamics that are exclusive. And sometimes that happens, especially if someone's a little bit socially awkward, or I've seen it happen a lot where somebody is strange but not predatory. And so we really want to differentiate those kinds of behaviors too, where we're like, okay, if somebody is being strange, it's okay to be like, hey, you're coming off as X, Y, and Z, or like you're affecting me in this way. And I'll give more training on how to address those things at a later point. But basically, we are going to absolutely have no tolerance policy regarding predatory behavior. But then in terms of sort of like that intermediary space of unprofessional behavior that makes people uncomfortable, we're not going to bludgeon people. We're not going to punish them and come down hard on them. We are going to say, this is a human being that has value, that clearly needs education. And we're going to start there with the education. And if there's not a correction, there's not comprehension, hey, they're still a valuable person. They may not be the right fit for the environment, and that's completely okay. That's our decision, right, as owners and managers for Chad and I to make. But we want to protect you. So if there is weird behavior, predatory behavior, anything like that, you put it in the supervisor notes, you DM us, you address it in person, be like, hey, that's not professional. You need to stop right now. Make sure that that's happening. That's your job as a supervisor. We need to protect customers, our coworkers, ourselves. You deserve better than that. Don't put up with it. There are a lot of amazing people who could be on your shift. We do not have to give you people to work with who make you uncomfortable and drag you down and drain your energy. So communication is pretty key there. It is your job to protect certain behaviors, but it's not your job alone. We're there with you. We want to help you make sure that every single person on your shift is a life-giving person, adding energy and value to the team and to the objectives of the store. So go back. That was a lot of information about our core values, but go back, make sure you refresh that you're very familiar with the core behaviors that are in our basic training, because things like offering samples, offering a waffle cone, offering a double scoop, offering a beverage at the end of the transaction, those are driving sales issues. Things like counting back change, that protects so many things. First of all, waste. It's a customer service issue. Customers love it. And it also protects Chad and I in our relationship with the community, because we never are in a position where we have to go, oh, I wonder who's stealing. It's always really obvious because things are pretty consistent. And so we don't create a climate where theft is an easy thing to do. And that's one of the reasons why we don't have theft in our environment. And so as a supervisor, it is your job to make sure that you're enforcing counting back change as a normal, so that we don't end up in that space where we're having consistent flux in the drawers. And it's just a full-time job, honestly, to look at the cameras, to analyze who was on this shift and that shift, and like, what's going on? Does this person not know how to count back change? Are they stealing, or whatever? Is it just waste? Like, what's going on here? And as a supervisor, you're really critical in that position to make sure that we just don't have unnecessary issues and anxiety in the environment. Because generally, people aren't nice when they're anxious. Happy people are kind and they have energy. And creating an environment of chaos and financial anxiety is not going to bring the best out in Chad and I, because all of a sudden we have been added another job, another thing to manage, and we want to be focused on caring for you, not looking at everyone wondering who's stealing. So look back at the basic training stuff and just remember, keep that fresh, and remember that, hey, it's your job to make sure that you're encouraging, affirming, bolstering, educating, calling out people on those behaviors, to be like, hey, you need to keep doing this, weigh your scoops. Weighing scoops is like a huge cost of goods issue. It is probably the biggest touch point in terms of variable costs that every single employee can touch. We go through several freezers worth of ice cream in a summer of waste if we're not weighing our scoops. Weighing them with the goal of having consistent scoops, of course. It's also a customer service issue of consistency. So that's a huge thing to be monitoring. So all of those, now that you've had some of this training in things like driving, sales, cost of goods, labor, you understand fixed versus variable costs, go back through that basic training and look at it with new eyes and go, oh, these are the things that this actually applies to. And I have actually a lot of power in this environment to protect these issues. And we want to be there for you. We want to support you in this and make sure that you're equipped to address issues, that we're putting people on your shifts who are adding value and energy to you, and people who are like interested in doing a good job, so that you're not carrying the weight of that when we could just put another person on your shift who's super excited to be there and do a good job. So stay in communication with us and go do a review of those basic behaviors and make sure they stay fresh in your mind at all times, because that's foundational.